Is there a cure for wanderlust? Such an interesting question. Wanderlust is the love of exploring the world, to get away from it all, to experience different cultures, different scenery, food, and the list goes on and on. One thing is for sure, wanderlust is a life-enhancing experience, and those who are afflicted never recover. During my lifetime on planet Earth, I've had the pleasure of traveling to over 60 countries. Each experience has been life-changing. To be immersed in the culture of other citizens of the world is an experience like no other. And I can say for sure, each of my adventures has contributed an incredible amount of joy to my life. My profound gratitude must go to my parents. They were the ones who instilled in me the love of travel. The trips with them as a teenager opened my eyes to how different world destinations are in comparison to America. Beautiful places, interesting places, and the excitement that went along with exploring each one. Learning a few words in different languages, meeting foreign people, eating different tasting foods, seeing unbelievably beautiful scenery, and learning the history, and the feeling of getting to know an entirely different place in this world in which we live. To my parents, I will always be eternally grateful for the gift they so generously gave me, the gift of traveling worldwide and learning the joys of being outside my comfort zone. Many times over the years, I have been asked, what is my favorite destination? Such a tough question, because there are so many. When forced into answering, my number one choice is an African safari. Why an African safari, you might ask? That is a very good question. The simple answer is that to me there is something magical about the savannas of Africa, whether it is East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, or Botswana. These countries are the best for safari goers because the world-class wildlife living there is incredible, and that's an understatement. In addition, the safari camps are absolutely extraordinary, offering luxurious accommodations out in the middle of nowhere. One of the most extraordinary experiences of my lifetime, that's the wrong slide, here we go, was walking with elephants in the Okavango Delta of Botswana. A gentleman named Doug Groves, very, very unfortunately now deceased, took my son, my husband, and me on an extraordinary adventure. I'd even call it one of the top travel experiences of my lifetime, walking with elephants. Here they are, Marula, Thembu, and what's the other one's name? No, it's Marula Thimbi and Jabu. Oh, all amazing. These were formerly abused elephants that Doug and his wife brought into their wilderness camp and safely brought them back to getting over all the causes of the abuses they had experienced. Anyway, there is not enough words in the English language to describe the thrill, the joy, the wonder of walking in the wilderness, holding on to the trunk of an elephant. Amazing beyond description. I'll never forget that day when we were out in the savannah, and as you can see, it's just, there's nothing there except scenery, and way in the distance I saw a man with these 3 tiny little specks in the distance. They were the elephants that came walking towards us. It was like watching an apparition in the middle of nowhere. And when they got close to us, we were introduced to these three magnificent pachyderms. And Doug Grove took us on an experience that was one magical, amazing, once-in-a-lifetime adventure. My son, my husband, and I, we absolutely loved every single minute. Oh, gosh. There's certain experiences in lifetimes that you look back on and your whole face lights up just recalling what an extraordinary moment in time it was. And I think sometimes it's even more appreciated in retrospect. But walking with elephants in Botswana in the Okavango Delta was on the top of my list of the most amazing experiences of my lifetime. Of course, after the walk with elephants, we had lunch with them. Here's a picture of my son and me, and I love this picture. It's so extraordinary to see such a large animal next to us and no fear, because they're trained to be used to tourists, safari goers. And lunch with elephants, well, that was amazing. Oh my goodness, how I love safaris. The number of animals you see is just incredible. One is literally out there, nobody's around, all you hear are the sounds of silence and observing the beauty of the wilderness. The best part is that being in the middle of nowhere, there are only crowds of wild animals at every turn and no crowds of tourists. Now that's pretty good, don't you think? But here are some of the pictures I took while in Africa of this lioness. I love that picture. Here's another one. You know, the goal on an African safari is to spot Africa's big five. That would be the lion, leopard, elephant, Cape buffalo, and rhino. This is the ultimate prize, seeing all five of these animals in their natural habitat. Truly one of the most special events that can happen to a safari adventurer. So here's a Cape buffalo. And the rhino. Gosh, don't they look like some prehistoric animal? I don't know when rhinos first came to the earth, but they look like it was a very, very long time ago. Oh, spotting elephants with their little babies roaming the savannas was just magical in every sense of the word. Oh, these little families traveling together. I just loved it, and we were able to get up quite close to them too, which was wonderful. When out traveling in Africa, the safari guides are just amazing. They know all about each and every animal and share their incredible knowledge. And I can tell you, we learned so many interesting things about African wildlife. I'm telling you, too, that there is another great part about safaris that, well, let me just go and finish these pictures. Here's a lazy old leopard lying in a tree. A tall and stately giraffe. Oh gosh, they're beautiful animals. And they love to frolic and play, as you see in this picture. And this is my favorite picture of a male lion that I took. Here are a group of hippos. Now, hippos look like fat, pudgy creatures, but I can tell you they're dangerous. They're responsible for killing more people in Africa than any other animal. but they are fun to look at. Anyway, one of the highlights of a safari is the incredible lodges. Like this is Baines Camp in the Okavango Delta of Botswana. And this is Chief's Camp. Oh, I love those two lodges, sanctuary lodges. They were amazing. To this day, I remain grateful for the love of travel so generously given to me by my parents. And last but not least, when one is infected with wanderlust, there is no cure. And even though this concludes my short story about Africa, there is so much more. I'm amazed at the number of colorful birds in Africa. Not only that, we spotted some of the most gorgeous flowering plants I had never seen before. Beautiful. Africa, if you've never been, get up and go. Because I am here to tell you in no uncertain terms that the only trip you'll regret is the one you don't take. And Africa will absolutely amaze you.